Don't even think about it. Say what? Okay. Okay, well, everybody, all of you have been a part of this, and all of you great guys and everything. Everybody in this state's been a part of this. That's all there is to it. But it is totally incredible. You know, these numbers just came to me this morning, and if you'll just think about this just a second, the April general revenue, numbers, or the tax collections, or all the different collections that are coming into the state, have surpassed all of our wildest imaginations. I really felt like from day one that if we got this thing really going, once it's really going, it's hard to stop. And the engine right now is, without any question, really, really going. The April collections were $319 million above estimates. It's the single, hands down, the single largest collections, I guess, in our history. Is that not correct? And it's driving our surplus now to where our surplus through 10 months of the year is $1.585 billion. Now we're on track to surpass even the $1.7 billion and significantly go by the $1.7 billion that we projected. So today is a day of incredible celebration for me, I'll promise you that. But the incredible hard work of all of y'all and what we've done, and more so, the hard work of all the hardworking West Virginians that are out there getting up every day, making all of us proud, absolutely doing all the great work that they do day after day after day. So today, from my standpoint, is a day of real celebration and a real happiness and a real pride because, I knew we could do it. I've known it all along, and I believed, and to be perfectly honest, if you're going to get anywhere in this world, you got to first and foremost believe. I remember the days like it was yesterday when these great guys right here handed me a set of books, and those set of books, they looked anything but what you wanted them to look like. And there was, without any question, I don't care what anybody will ever say, this is not being braggadocious, it's just plain fact. This state was bankrupt. I don't care what anybody says. We'd already drained our rainy day fund to a level that our bonds were being derated, and who knew where to turn? Who in the world knew where to turn? And that's why I really believe God above has intervened in lots of our lives in many, many, many different ways. And so I'm by no means Reverend Jim, but absolutely I believe that God always shows up. He always shows up. And so in our state, we have done anything but live off of the COVID dollars or whatever it may be, whether it be the American Rescue Act, the CARES money, whatever. We've done anything but that. We've really taken care of the store, and we've not run out and just spent money hand over fist. We've done the right things, and we protected our counties through all the CARES dollars. And a lot of people were saying, oh gosh, just send all this money and do all this stuff. And we did, but we did it prudently. We did it minding the store. And so lo and behold, all of a sudden you awaken to a state that's really cooking. And really, really a state that forevermore, you see all this white hair. For God's sakes a living, all of us that have a lot of this white hair, can easily, quickly remember, all the days when people on the outside looked at West Virginia and they said, well, that state's backward, that state's poor, that's dingy and dusty and all the bad things, all the bad jokes are heaven to Betsy. Well, they can't look at us that way anymore. That's all there is to it. Now, believe it or not, and it's hard to imagine, but now we're really, truly the diamond in the rough that everybody missed. We are on the rocket ship ride. And you can't stop it once it goes like this unless you just are stupid and blow your own legs off. This is really going to be something if we don't get in our own way. We don't do something that's frivolous and whatever it may be. Now, along the way, I've said it and I'll say it till I'm blue-green, but we should diversify our economies. We should look at embracing all the alternative energy sources, but we should never, ever forget all the great natural resources that we have in West Virginia and be really proud of them, really proud. I wish that I were talking to 5,000 people sitting here, but we're talking to thousands out there. I can tell you without any question every day that our coal miners get up and right this minute, and it's hard to believe, but right this minute there's thousands of them, and there's thousands of feet underground, and they're absolutely mining a seam of coal that's not as high as this desk. Now think about it. They can't even sit up. They absolutely can't stand up. And they're there working every day for every last one of us. Our gas workers the same way. Anybody that believes today that we can do without fossil fuels in this country, in this world, is an idiot. An absolute idiot. Today. It doesn't mean that we don't embrace all the alternative fuel sources, and maybe, just maybe someday, we will be able to maybe not have our fossil fuels. But today, that person that would believe that would not be consistent with what is really going on, unless we want to change our styles of living in every way, and you won't want to do that. It would impact us in a negative way beyond belief. And the other thing, and while I'm on it, you got to just listen to me, I'm sorry, but while I'm on it is just this. Every country of the world that has more energy, the people live longer, the people are healthier. I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, the countries of the world that have a very short lifespan and people are really struggling are the people that don't have energy. If you take anything in the world from me, you better take one thing. The only way civilization ever progresses is abundant, cheap energy. Now, we can add to that abundant, cheap, clean energy. And I would welcome that in every way. So listen, these numbers are off the chart. And we should all be so proud. And we should all be so happy. I mean, for crying out loud, if this isn't the biggest news around this state today, then I don't know what it could be. $319 million over estimate for a month, for 1 month. Now listen, I don't mean this in a bad way, but for God's sakes, 11 in prior administrations, we absolutely cut a ribbon on the opening of the Taco Bell downtown. I mean, just think about it. We went crazy when we could some way announce that we were going to have 8 new water plant bottle watering jobs. Today we're really going. We're really, really going. And of all things, we got an English bulldog sitting here too. So I'll turn it over to Dave and Mark and Mike, if you want to join us, you can join us too. but and all of y'all that have put in all the licks, y'all have been really good, and you've done great work, and it is really happening. It's happening right in front of all of us. I can tell you that I wish so much that, you know, my dad was my best man in my wedding. And he was tough. He was really tough. You know, he believed in work, and he worked, and he believed that I best better work, or it was a bad day for me. And my mom was the same way. You know, I know you may think there's no way, but till the day that my mom died, if she were to cook with aluminum foil, she'd wash it, and then she'd put it up in a drawer and use it again. She was one of 10 kids, and never that I ever visited her, you know, my grandparents, her mom and dad, never did they have indoor plumbing. You know, absolutely they worked, but Mom would really be proud. So would Dad. But Mom would be so proud about the fact that now that outside world isn't looking at her and looking at West Virginia as backward and poor and dingy. She would be really proud. Y'all should be too. And I'll promise you, we are too. So anyway, Dave, take over.
Thank you, Governor. As we head toward the finish line on fiscal year 23, we're 10/12ths of the way there now. So you can start to see the end. And way back in the fall, when my dear friend Mark Muco said that he thought we might have a budget surplus of $1.7 billion, I was skeptical at the time. I thought, oh my goodness, that's a big number. Well, now we're at 2 months to go, we're at 1,585. So I think it's fair to say that we are just going to blow through that $1.7 billion number and go to even a higher surplus. So the fiscal year 23 is historic. Now, we said that a year ago. Last June, we said fiscal year 22 is historic. Our budget surplus was about $1.3 billion. We are now way past what we did in fiscal year 22 as we head to the finish line of fiscal year 23. One thing that the governor did mention, and I'm glad because then I get to bring it up, was in addition to setting that record of $319 million, total revenue sources above estimate, in April's a big month for personal income tax for obvious reasons. April 15th, we all know what happens on April 15th. We collected $472.6 million in the month of April, and we exceeded the monthly estimate by $192.8 million, which means not only did we break a record for total revenue, we completely shattered our record for personal income tax revenue over estimate in the month of April. We like the personal income tax number because it means West Virginians are getting higher pay, and it means West Virginians are working. And those are two very, very good markers. And we all know that, of course, our lower income tax rates are in effect now. They're retroactive to January 1st of this year. So our employers started using, and we published the lower withholding tables about the third week of March. And everybody who made estimated payments could dial back their estimated payments on April 15th. Yet despite that historic income tax cut, we still broke an all-time record for personal income tax collections in the month of April. Consumer sales tax, year to date, it's almost $190 million above estimate. We're 6.6% ahead of where we were a year ago on consumer sales tax. Remember what happens when people get an income tax cut. They go out and they spend, and they buy things that they need, like appliances and big ticket items like cars. So we expect, and we're starting to see an uptick in our consumer sales tax, which are West Virginians reinvesting their tax cut. Our corporate net income tax, another great marker because it indicates how many of our businesses are doing, $205.8 million above the estimate, 17.8%. compared to last April, just 1 year ago, we're up 17.8. And the one that always gets a lot of interest, our severance tax revenue. Our severance tax used to be coal. The lion's share was coal for decades and decades and decades. Now our severance tax revenue is about 65% natural gas, 35% coal. And we are setting record after record on our severance tax collections. Year to date, we are 48.1% ahead of where we were a year ago. And this number just, when I see it on the page, I always ask if it's a typo. We are $622.5 million above estimate on severance tax for fiscal year 23. So you add all this up and you get a very healthy economy with people working and people getting higher wages. And that's how we set a record like we're setting this month of, again, $319 million above estimate for 1 month. It used to be we'd go a whole fiscal year, and for the whole fiscal year, we might be 100 million, 50 million, even 20 million above estimate, and we would celebrate that. Now in 1 month, we're 319 million above estimate. Last but not least, because interest rates are up, our interest income as a state is up as well. Our interest income is up nearly $100 million because we are getting much higher return on our dollars that we have carefully put aside in our rainy day funds, in our other funds that are managed by the Bureau of Treasury Investments. So when you add all that up again, we're making history here, and Governor, I'm proud to be up here with you and be a part of your team and your leadership to make the kind of history that we're making. And this is great news for West Virginia, and we're really looking forward to running across that finish line on June 30th.
Well, Mark, have you got anything, or you're welcome to talk?
It's not only the state has done well, but also local governments have done very well. The local severance tax distribution almost doubled in both oil and gas and as well as coal. We're up $44.6 million over last year in local tax distributions to local governments for a total of almost $92.8 million of severance tax has gone back to local governments this year, a good over $40 million higher than last year. So it's a benefit not only state government, but also local governments have been benefiting.
Well, listen to me on this. We talk about $319 million up, for the month, and we talk about, the personal income tax levels are way, way, way up, and the consumer taxes are way up. Severance tax didn't go up that much in April, but they're still up. Corporate net looks good, and it's all that kind of stuff, and we think, wow, 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 wow. And before you know it, the numbers don't hardly mean anything because you're just speaking in 100 million here and 150 million there and 200 million over here. Well, let me just tell you, let me try to make it as simple as I know how to make it. Absolutely, and again, I don't say this egotistically, it's just fact. We were scrambling every way in the world to just breathe. Now, we were, like it or not like it, but we were having trouble figuring out how to breathe, And now, lo and behold, what's happening is just imagine, for God's sakes, imagine. We are giving back to the people a rainy day fund equivalent almost in its entirety. We're going to give back $1 billion almost. We're going to give back $750 million. Boom. We're just going to give it back. It's like we're giving back 3/4 of our total rainy day fund. And not only that, from when we walked in the door, we're giving back a total rainy day fund. Now, in addition to that, we're banking now. We're banking 2 more rainy day funds every year. Stuff that took us decades and decades and decades to generate. And with all that being said, everybody in this state ought to be doing better and better and better. We've done this stuff the right way. You know, we've still got people out there that are hurting, and we want to keep on trying to help, don't we? You know, without any question whatsoever, though, we're trying to put more money in our people's pockets. We're trying to drive more growth and opportunity and jobs and whatever it may be in population to this state. And if we can just keep it moving in this direction, there's a whole lot that all of us can be really proud of. But I don't know how in the world that we could have a Christmas present where we said, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give every dollar of our existing rainy day fund back to the people. It's going to, and not only that, we're going to do it every year. Well, how's that going to happen? I mean, my God, living, you know, we only have one rainy day fund. We're going to give one back every single year to our people. And not only that, in addition to that, we're going to be banking. We're going to be banking significant dollars, maybe even equivalent to a rainy day fund above the money we're giving back. It's unbelievable. It's flat unbelievable. You know, and at the end of the day, literally, we can think of things that are really important to our state and everything, and they're all important. But remember just one thing. My job, as I see my job, is to look after the economics first and foremost. Now, I want to protect and surely look after the people, and a natural disaster or whatever it may be is really, really, really important stuff. And first and foremost, we've got to protect and look after the safety of our people. But at the end of the day, if you want services and government to function, you better, if you're me, look after the economics. Because if the economics are right, everything else gets done. Everything gets done. And so at the end of the day, we got a lot of good stuff going on. I'm really proud of all of you, and I mean it. And thank you, all the hardworking, great people of this great state. I hope they hear me, because they ought to be really proud of themselves. They ought to be really, really, really proud. And all you folks that are working in government and everything, just keep doing the good stuff you're doing, because you got a lot to be really proud of. At the end of the day, I know some days it's a thankless job, and some days you don't get rewarded or compensated maybe as much as you should or you deserve. But at the end of the day, if you could just be just me just a second and get in an airplane and fly at night, and as far as you can see, there's a little light here and a little light here and a little light there. And every single one of those lights is dependent and banking on you. It's an awesome task, and you do good. You really do good. So that's all I've got. We'll surely take any questions, but that's all I've got.